Has surge pricing become the new normal? And who does it benefit the most? The aggregator, the taxi driver, or the commuter? How often are you paying surge prices? And is your city always under surge?
India is a country where transportation is at a very initial stage of development. And when you have a demand which is significantly higher than the supply, prices will always remain surge.
To test that, I decided to spend my entire day taking Uber trips across the city. Five hours, 5 trips, and I pay surge pricing in 4. The morning rush is tapering, and yet the Uber map for drivers is covered in red. Much of the city is still under surge.
The driver app actually shows areas or geofences, like we call them, where demand tends to be really high, right? So even though you may be exposed to a certain multiple, you have the choice, and riders do have the choice to proceed with that.
बांद्रा में 25 मिनट बैठा मैं, सर्च चार्ज था, इसके लिए भाड़ा नहीं लगा. जब भी सर्च चार्ज 2 सेकंड 3 सेकंड के लिए उड़ जाता है, तभी भाड़ा लग जाता है हमको. सर्च टाइम में बहुत कम लगता है भाड़ा.
It's lunch hour. I start my second round of Uber rides. From Malad to Mahi to Haji Ali to Kolaba to Lower Parel. 5 trips and only one is priced at a regular fare. By peak hours, the Uber surge map is a throbbing red.
So Mumbai has certain demand patterns. And it's also a function of what our rider base is. And so there's a lot of people that use Uber day in, day out, morning and evening for their commute. And so, that is a time when there is a lot of demand, but it's also a time when there's a lot of supply coming on board, because they realize that there's an opportunity to cater to that demand.
मैं दिन में सुबह 6 बजे निकलता हूँ, रात को 10 बजे तक चलाता हूँ, 10-12 बजे तक, 11 बजे तक. उसमें मैं जहाँ भी रूट में रहूँ, अगर 2 किलोमीटर के नज़दीक रहेगा सर्च, तो ही मैं वहाँ पे जाता हूँ, नहीं तो फिर मैं नॉर्मल रूट पे ही चलता हूँ.
Uber shares 80% of the ride fee with its drivers. Surge prices make that 80% more valuable.
सुबह कांदीवली से लेके अंधेरी ईस्ट तक लेके आया, 600 रुपये बिल हुआ उसका. एक्चुअली देखे जाएगा तो 150-200 में खत्म होता है वो बिल. अगर रेगुलर ऐसा लगेगा तो हमको ज़्यादा ही फायदा है.
This isn't the first time surge pricing has been applied to a transportation service. Economist Madan Sabnavis says it helps balance demand and supply.
Like if you look at the airline industry, if you look at the way in which seats are sold, they're sold at differential prices, and as you move towards the date of your flight, the prices actually zoom up normally. So I think what these cab operators are doing is almost a similar thing, that you find out certain pockets of the city where there is exceptional demand during certain periods of the day, and you let the market decide what the price should be. So even if you're looking at, say, something like the railways, which I feel which is run by the government, they also do practice similar kind of market behavior. So it's not exactly very much differential, but the idea of Tatkal services is that you're charging the customer more a couple of days before the journey, because you know the person is helpless and he has no alternative. So I think the way it works is that both the user of the service as well as the provider of the service reach an optimal situation because there's absence of substitutes or alternatives for them. So I don't find anything unusual about what's happening. In fact, I would say it's something which was bound to happen at some point of time, whenever it's the market which is determining the rates.
Like Madan, many argue that surge accomplishes 2 things. 1, it incentivizes drivers and increases supply, and 2, it discourages those who don't need to travel immediately, thereby trimming demand. But the CEO of Radio Cab Service and Uber competitor Meru Cabs insists that surge pricing doesn't bring more cabs onto the road. It only forces consumers to pay more.
99% of the drivers that are running in this industry today, whether it is for us or whether it is for other aggregators, they are doing a full-time job in the industry. If they are doing a full-time job in the industry, they will not work extra just because there is a surge pricing. So you will not be able to get extra supply onto the roads during the surge pricing, and that is what you have seen. Prices keep going up during the surge pricing and they never come down till the time the demand actually comes down. So I can ask you to check data and let people prove it to me that significant supply has come when the surge pricing is happening.
Time for the final 5 trips of the day. It's 9 p.m, I'm heading to Sion, and it looks like my luck is turning. 15 trips, of which in 8 I paid surge prices, and in 7 I was charged the regular fare. But that's because I picked Mumbai's eastern suburbs as my final destination. Luckily, I'm not headed to the higher traffic zones of Andheri, Bandra or Juhu.
A particular rider or a set of riders, for example, may be exposed to it more frequently than the others, and that's a function of where they are, what time they are, and so on. But I'd say in a given week, in a regular week, it's only about 90 to 95% or 5 to 7% of times when it's actually surging, or in terms of trip surging.
Well, maybe my day isn't much to go by, but I certainly experience surge pricing more than 5 to 7% of the time. Anyway, after paying 8 surge fares today, this is how I'm choosing to get home.